Good day everyone, I am Chari Matbagon and I will be the one to discuss about fire prevention. So we have here the 10 fire prevention and safety tips that can help us to avoid or prevent the calamity which is fire. So the first one is use a quality plug and wire. So we have to make sure that the plug and wire we use is not low of quality. So because there are many inexpensive devices such as wires and plugs that do not go through manufacturing process. Therefore, they are easily damaged and carry risk. So, electrical appliances and other household equipment go through product safety the to ensure that we have a low chance of causing fire. So that is the right equipment we should use in our home to have a low chance of causing a fire. So the second one is make sure the wires are undamaged. So because we have to make sure that the wires are undamaged because one of one of the causes of the fire that we hear is faulty electrical, right? That's why we need to see if it is faulty. So we need to replace wires that are really damaged because it can also uh, cause a fire immediately when it is damaged. So when repairing wiring, we need to sure to use the correct equipment, such as let's say for instance we should not use the scotch tape or masking tape. We have to use the electrical tape because electrical tape is used for wire. And then uh it is also better to get some help to electricians to ensure that the repair is done correctly. And the third one is avoid overloading the outlets. So why do we have to avoid the overloading the outlets? Why? Because overloading can use a fire when there are too many appliances plug in that can no longer support the current flowing. That's why it can cause or it can start a fire. So, uh, overloading often occurs when we use octopus connections and simultaneously simultaneous use of high power appliances. So that's why it can also start a fire. And then the fourth one is unplug appliances that are not in use because this is the next prevention tip is to unplug appliances and equipment that are not in use because even if they are even if they are turned off, it continue to consume electricity. So when we unplug the appliances such as our charger or electric fan or any appliances. So when we unplug that, we saves electricity, and then we avoid the chance of causing fire. So when we do that, that is really good for us. So we need to make sure to turn off the main switch when there is no one in our house. That is also a very important thing to do when we leave our home, when there is no one in our house. So we have to turned off the main switch. And then the fifth one is gonna keep an eye on what's being cooked. So we all know that we usually we every day we we cook for our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So when we are cooking, we should not leave our cooking can burn, right? Because not only the cooking are born, but also the house when we leave it unattended. So we have to keep an eye of what's being cooked to avoid causing a fire. And uh, we need to we have also to avoid some flammables objects near the stove, because they can catch fire when the stove's flame is well dead. This is really risk. When we have to watch it, we have to avoid that leaving any flammable objects in the stove, because it can cause a big fire. And actually we left that in our kitchen. So the sixth one is we need to turn off the gas after cooking, right? We need to have a habit of that. After cooking, we have to turn off the gas to avoid uh, fire or spark, right? So after cooking, make it a habit of that, to turn off the gas and stove. uh, when the gas leaks in our stoves, or when children are playing, a spark of it can easily cause a fire. Also, we need to have a habit to check the gas tank if there is a leak. A simple way to do that is to use water mixed with soap, using a spray or sponge, and then wet the tank with soap and water to see if there is a bubbles. So when there is a bubbles, we have to replace them immediately to avoid causes of fire. So the next one is give appliances a rest. So why do we need to give appliances rest? Because let's say for instance our appliances during summer, we they are used, so they are used continuously. So that is why the engine of that overheats, and that causes a fire. So electric fans and air conditioner should be rested. We have to give enough time to cool down, and also the appliances not to break easily. And we have to remember that they must be removed from the plug. And then the next one is keep matches or lighters away from children. Why? Because we often hear that in the news that the children are the ones who starts fires because they are playing matches and fire, lighter rather. So that is why we have to make sure to keep it away from the children, that they can't reach, or and tell them that they shouldn't play with it, because it can be a source of fire. So we all know that children are not aware that that the matches or lighters or some other things that can create fire that they play are really really dangerous to us. So we have to teach them that that matches and lighters are not safe in playing. The next one is a extinguish the candles before going to bed. We cannot avoid that there is a brownout in our home, right? So we used to use candle to have a light in our home. So when we use candles, so we have to uh, we make sure it is not lit after going to bed, after sleeping, and it could be because it could be full and start a fire. We have in using candles, we have the good alternative, which is a flashlight. Flashlight, we don't have to light it, and we also avoid the risk of fire when we use flashlight. So that is the good alternative flashlight. So last but not the least is we need make sure that we have a fire extinguisher at home, and make a habit of storing water before going to sleep, because let's say for instance there is a fire, so we put out immediately and then not grow any further. So when we don't have fire extinguisher at home, so we we uh we pour a water to extinguish the fire. So we have to store water at the back in the bucket to extinguish the fire. Exactly. And also we have to uh, report report it immediately and call the fire department for immediate action when there is a fire. So we don't have to wait for the fire to get bigger before we ask for help. So we need to be active. We don't have to panic. We should to keep calm, so that we can think that we can ask for help. So we need to keep calm to keep us safe. So that are the 10 fire prevention and safety tips that I discussed, and that's all. Thank you.